Hi, heroes. He says, I need your guidance here. I have a main domain and a subdomain. Now, subdomain give rel canonical to main domain silo pages. And every post of subdomain is mirrored in a GSite. That is all posts replicated on GSite. And GSite has no connection to main domain whatsoever. So in this scenario, will main domain rank above GSite and subdomain for targeted key terms or not? Does this hold any power? I'm onto it, but I need your guidance. Well, I don't know if it really depends. Will the main domain outrank the GSite? I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. Can you one of you guys give some insight on that? I mean, typically, unless a GSite, one of the reasons we use GSites, guys, is because they're Google sites, right? So you're piggybacking on the authority of Google, and it's easier to rank those typically than it is a brand new WordPress or a brand new domain that you've just set up WordPress on or whatever. Usually that's the case. So if you are mirroring or basically republishing posts from your blog over to your GSite, and then the GSite, you can't canonicalize those URLs to your main site, right? You can't do that. At least as far as I know, you can't. But if that's the case, there's a chance that the GSite's going to outrank the original until you get your original site to a point where the authority is such that Google ranks it higher. But at least initially, it seems to me, my assumption would be that the Google site would outrank the normal, or your domain if it's a relatively new site or a relatively weak site. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I will leave Roman and Marco chime in on this one because they are definitely more knowledgeable than I am. But if everything else stays the same, I would say a parasite like GSite or YouTube video, you're piggybacking on all of that authority, So it would make sense. So right off the bat, a GSite would or could potentially outrank the website. Now, at some point, you want your website ranking higher at least for branded terms, right? So if you're looking, for example, for AMCO site, like that brand, you want your website ranking higher. In any case, since you control the market, at that point, you control the traffic flow, and everything can be used to point traffic back to your website, if that makes sense.
Yeah. One thing I would say is in rereading the question while Hernan was talking just now, is he says that he posts the blog posts on the subdomain. The subdomain the URLs for the posts are canonicalized to the main domain silo pages, and then he's mirroring the post, basically republishing the same posts on a GSite. So in that situation, what I would do, and again, I haven't tested this method either, so I don't know without testing, but my assumption would be that the only thing that you could do really for the GSite would be to place a link saying, this article originally published on, and then link back to the subdomain post, the original post on the subdomain, right? So that way you're passing juice from the GSite to the subdomain post URL, which is then canonicalized to the main domain silo pages. Does that make sense? So essentially you're doing like a 3-step juice push, if that makes sense, because it's going from the GSite initially to the original post URL, which is on the subdomain, which is then canonicalized to the silo page on the main domain. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean the main domain is going to outrank the GSite. It should at some point once the authority level is there, but that's not a configuration I've ever tested with. Any other comments, guys?
No, I haven't tested it. We're concentrating on GSites. Their ranking power is amazing, and the more that we do with them, the better they rank. But there is something that can be done, but that's not being revealed until RYS Academy Reloaded. Sorry.
I think there needs to be a little bit more information for me to really answer this question, because I'm curious as to a few other pieces of information to really be able to answer this yes or no. But yeah, I can't really provide too much more than that. It's I would assume, since there's 4 of them powering up one, that the money site does have a good chance at pushing past it, but it's hard to say. It depends on the specifics of the configuration.
Yeah, except that the GSite will siphon juice back, because that's a do follow link. So whatever you're pushing over to the subdomain it'll pull right back. I mean, they're really good about doing that.
Yeah.
It's over 2 years of testing with GSites, and they're amazing. Google is amazing at pulling whatever trust authority or juice they can from everywhere that it's connected to.